Look up. Since the first moment a human being raised their eyes to the horizon, the sky has been a canvas for our greatest fears and our most transcendent dreams. We have always known that the blue expanse above us is not empty. Long before we had airplanes, satellites, or weather balloons, we populated the clouds with titans, spirits, and monsters. The air was a realm of gods and predators, a place where the laws of the earth were suspended and anything with wings could claim dominion over the world below. Today, we are going to peel back the veil of the atmosphere and explore every mythical creature that has ever called the sky its home. From the fire-breathing terrors of the west to the benevolent rain-bringers of the east, and the colossal birds that could blot out the sun itself, we are diving deep into the lore of the winged ones. We must begin with the undisputed kings of the mythical sky, the dragons. But to speak of dragons as a single entity is to ignore the vast cultural divide that splits these creatures in two. In the Western tradition, the dragon is a creature of weight and terror. Imagine a beast the size of a cathedral, its scales harder than any iron forged by man, with wings like tattered sails that beat with the force of a hurricane. These are the dragons of European folklore, beasts like the one fought by St. George or the gold-hoarding Smaug. They represent the untamed chaos of nature and the ultimate test for a hero. Their flight is heavy and powerful, a feat of brute strength that allows them to rain fire from above. When a Western dragon takes to the sky, it is an omen of destruction. Their breath is not just fire. In some legends, it is a toxic mist or a freezing gale that can turn a village to ice in seconds. They are the apex predators of the clouds, solitary and ancient, possessing an intelligence that is as sharp as it is cruel. But travel eastward and the sky changes. The Chinese Long, the Japanese Ryu, and the Korean Yong are not monsters to be slain, but celestial bureaucrats and divine protectors. These dragons do not have the bat-like wings of their Western cousins. Instead, they move through the air like serpents swimming through water. Their flight is a form of high magic, a rhythmic undulation that allows them to coil around clouds and dance between lightning bolts. These dragons are the masters of the weather. When you hear thunder, it is the sound of their drums. When you see rain, it is their gift to the parched earth. They are often depicted with a glowing pearl beneath their chins or held in their claws, representing the sun, the moon, or the wisdom of the universe. To see an eastern dragon in the sky is not a death sentence, but a sign of supreme good fortune and the favor of the heavens. High above the dragons, in the highest reaches of the celestial sphere, dwells the phoenix. Across almost every major civilization, there is a legend of a bird made of fire. The Greek phoenix is perhaps the most famous, a creature of shimmering gold and crimson plumage that lives for 500 years. When its time comes, it does not simply die. It builds a nest of cinnamon and myrrh, ignites it with the heat of the sun, and is consumed by its own flames, only to rise from the ashes, young and vibrant once more. This is the sky's ultimate symbol of renewal. In China, this role is filled by the Fenghuang, the king of birds whose appearance signals an era of peace and prosperity. The Fenghuang is said to be composed of the most beautiful parts of all other creatures, the beak of a parrot, the scales of a fish, and the tail of a peacock. It represents the union of yin and yang, a creature so delicate that it refuses to step on a single living blade of grass, spending its entire life in flight or perched upon the sacred Paulownia tree. If the phoenix represents the sun's cycle, then the roc represents the sheer, terrifying scale of the natural world. Originating in Middle Eastern folklore and made famous by the voyages of Sinbad, the roc is an eagle magnified to an impossible degree. It is said to be so large that its wingspan can hide the sun, casting a sudden, chilling eclipse over the ocean. Sailors feared the roc not because it was evil, but because it was so massive that it viewed humans as nothing more than ants. The roc was famous for hunting elephants, swooping down from the clouds to snatch the massive pachyderms in its talons, carrying them high into the air and dropping them to their deaths to tenderize the meat. It is a creature of the high peaks and the open ocean, a reminder that in the vastness of the sky, there are things far larger than our civilizations. In the mythology of the indigenous peoples of North America, the sky is ruled by a being of even greater elemental power, the Thunderbird. This is not just a bird, but a spirit of the storm itself. The Thunderbird is often described as having wings that create the sound of thunder when they flap, and eyes that flash with the brilliance of lightning. It is a guardian and a warrior, often locked in an eternal struggle with the great horned serpents of the underworld. For many tribes, the Thunderbird is a symbol of strength and protection, the force that brings the life-giving rains of spring while simultaneously reminding humanity of the terrifying power of the Great Spirit. To hear the rumble of a summer storm is to hear the Thunderbird beating its wings against the vault of heaven. The Jewish tradition speaks of a creature that rivals the roc and the Thunderbird in scale, the Ziz. While the behemoth rules the land and the Leviathan rules the sea, the Ziz is the undisputed master of the sky. It is said that if the Ziz were to stand in the middle of the ocean, the water would only reach its ankles and its head would touch the very gates of heaven. Its wingspan is so vast that it can protect the entire earth from the scorching heat of the southern winds. The Ziz is a protector of all birds. It is said that if the Ziz were to perish, all the smaller birds of the world would lose their way and vanish. It is a creature of cosmic proportions, a living shield between the earth and the raw power of the sun. As we descend from these titans, we find the hybrids, creatures that blend the features of the earth and the air. The griffin is perhaps the most noble of these, possessing the body of a lion and the head and wings of an eagle. In the ancient world, the griffin was seen as a king of both the earth and the sky. Because the lion was the king of beasts and the eagle was the king of birds, the griffin was a creature of dual majesty. They were often depicted as the guardians of hidden treasures, particularly the gold of the Hyperboreans in the far north. A griffin in flight is a sight of terrifying grace, combining the predatory power of a big cat with the aerial precision of a raptor. They were said to be the sworn enemies of horses, which makes the existence of the hippogriff all the more miraculous. The hippogriff, the offspring of a griffin and a mare, is a creature of legend that represents the impossible. With the front of an eagle and the back of a horse, it is faster and more easily tamed than a griffin, serving as a noble steed for knights in the epic poems of the Renaissance. Then there is Pegasus, the most famous winged horse of all. Born from the blood of the Gorgon Medusa, Pegasus is a creature of pure white light and divine inspiration. He is not just a horse with wings, he is a bringer of thunderbolts for Zeus and the creature whose hoofprint created the Hippocrene fountain, the source of poetic inspiration. Pegasus represents the aspiration of the human spirit to rise above its earthly tethers. To ride Pegasus is to achieve a level of freedom that no other mortal can know, but it is a freedom that comes with great risk, as the hero Bellerophon learned when he tried to fly to the top of Mount Olympus, only to be cast back down to earth by the gods. The sky is not only home to the noble and the massive, it is also filled with the haunting and the hungry. The Harpies of Greek myth are the snatchers, wind spirits with the bodies of birds and the faces of haggard women. They were the agents of divine punishment, sent by the gods to steal food from the table of King Phineus, or to whisk away evildoers to the Furies. The sound of their wings is a sharp, metallic clatter, and they leave behind a stench of decay. They represent the sudden, violent gusts of wind that can ruin a harvest or capsize a boat. Similarly, the Stymphalian birds were a nightmare of the ancient world. These were man-eating birds with beaks of bronze and feathers of sharp metal that they could launch like arrows from the sky. They haunted the marshes of Arcadia until Hercules drove them away with the sound of bronze castanets, showing that even the terrors of the sky can be overcome with the right tools. In the lush jungles of India and Southeast Asia, the sky belongs to Garuda. Garuda is a divine entity, the mount of the god Vishnu and the king of all birds. He is often depicted as a giant man with the wings, beak, and talons of an eagle, his feathers shimmering like gold. Garuda is the eternal enemy of the Nagas, the serpent people, and his flight through the air is said to be so powerful that it can stop the rotation of the planets. He represents courage and speed, a celestial warrior who guards the heavens against the forces of darkness. His presence in the sky is a reminder of the triumph of light over the creeping shadows of the earth. Persian mythology gives us the Simurgh, a creature of immense wisdom and age. The Simurgh is said to have lived through the destruction of the world 3 times over, accumulating the knowledge of all ages. She is a giant bird, often described as a mix between a peacock, a lion, and a griffin, with the power to heal the sick and bring water to parched lands. The Simurgh is a maternal figure, famously adopting the abandoned hero Zal and raising him in her nest atop the mountain of Alborz. When she flies, her feathers scatter seeds across the earth, ensuring the continued growth of all plant life. She is the sky's philosopher, a creature who watches the rise and fall of empires from her high perch, intervening only when the world is in its direst need. As we move into the darker corners of folklore, we encounter the creatures that haunt the night skies. The strigoi of Romanian lore or the various owl monsters of the world represent the predatory nature of the dark. In many cultures, the owl itself is seen as a psychopomp, a creature that carries souls from the world of the living to the world of the dead. But there are darker things than owls. The Camazotz of Mayan mythology is a bat god, a lord of the underworld who rules the house of bats. He is a creature of jagged wings and razor-sharp claws, representing the terrors that lurk in the caves and the midnight air. To the Maya, the Camazotz was a reminder that the sky at night is a different realm entirely, one governed by the spirits of the dead and the creatures of the void. In the folklore of the Philippines, the sky is haunted by the manananggal. This is a truly gruesome creature, a beautiful woman by day who, at night, detaches her upper torso from her lower body. Sprouting massive leathery wings like a bat, she flies through the night in search of prey, using a long, thread-like tongue to feast on the hearts of the sleeping. The sight of a severed torso gliding through the moonlight is one of the most terrifying images in all of world folklore, a reminder that the sky can hide horrors that are both human and monstrous. We must also look at the creatures that are not quite birds, but not quite spirits. The Valkyries of Norse mythology are the choosers of the slain. While often depicted riding winged horses in the oldest sagas, they are sometimes described as having the ability to take the form of swans or ravens. They fly over the battlefields of Midgard, their armor casting the shimmering lights of the aurora borealis across the sky. They are the bridge between the carnage of the earth and the glory of Valhalla, the winged messengers of Odin who ensure that the bravest warriors find their way to the great hall of the gods. In the more modern era, our sightings of sky monsters have shifted into the realm of cryptids. The Mothman of West Virginia is a prime example. Described as a man-sized creature with massive wings and glowing red eyes, the Mothman is seen as an omen of impending disaster. Unlike the ancient dragons or the phoenix, the Mothman is a creature of the industrial age, haunting bridges and power plants, a shadow in the periphery of our modern world. Then there is the Jersey Devil, a bizarre hybrid with the head of a horse, the wings of a bat, and the hooves of a goat, said to haunt the pine barrens of New Jersey. These modern myths show that even in an age of science, we still look at the sky and see things we cannot explain. We should not forget the smaller dwellers of the air. The fairies, pixies, and sprites of European folklore are often depicted with wings like dragonflies or butterflies. These are the hidden inhabitants of the air, the ones who cause the shimmering of the heat haze or the sudden movement in the corner of your eye. They represent the whimsy and the danger of the natural world, creatures that are as beautiful as they are capricious. In some legends, even the will-o'-the-wisps are seen as flying spirits, lanterns carried by unseen hands to lead travelers off the path and into the marshes. The sky is also home to the celestial objects themselves, personified as living beings. In many cultures, the sun and moon are carried across the sky by winged chariots or great birds. The Greek sun god Helios drove a chariot pulled by 4 fire-breathing horses that could gallop across the arc of the heavens. In the mythology of the Aztecs, the sun was Huitzilopochtli, the hummingbird warrior who needed the nourishment of sacrifice to find the strength to rise each morning and defeat the stars. These myths turn the very mechanics of our solar system into a drama of flight and struggle. There is a recurring theme in all these stories. The sky is a place of absolute freedom, but it is also a place of absolute vulnerability. For a land-bound human, anything that can fly possesses a godlike power. This is why the creatures of the sky are so often associated with divinity, prophecy, and the afterlife. Whether it is the Egyptian baybird, which represented the soul of the deceased taking flight, or the Persian humor bird, which is said to never touch the ground and whose shadow bestows kingship upon whoever it falls, the winged creature is always a messenger from a higher plane. Even the weather itself is personified through flying beasts. The Piasa bird of the Mississippian culture was a dragon-like creature with the face of a man, the scales of an armadillo, and the wings of an eagle. It was said to haunt the bluffs of the Mississippi River, a terrifying predator that could snatch a warrior from the ground. Its image painted onto the cliffs served as a reminder of the dangers that came from above. In South America, the alicanto is a legendary bird of the Atacama Desert that eats gold and silver. Its wings shine with the color of the metal it consumes, but if it senses a greedy human following it, it will lead them off a cliff or into a dark cavern. As we look at the sheer variety of these creatures, we see the reflection of the human experience. The phoenix is our hope for rebirth. The harpies are our fear of sudden loss. The dragon is our struggle against the overwhelming forces of nature. We populated the sky because the sky is the one place we could not go for the vast majority of our history. It was the final frontier, a realm of pure imagination. Even now, when we can fly across oceans in a matter of hours, that ancient instinct remains. When we see a strange shape in the clouds or a shadow moving across the moon, our minds don't immediately go to aerodynamics or meteorology. For a split second, we return to the world of our ancestors. We wonder if it's a griffin guarding its gold, a thunderbird gathering its strength, or a dragon waking from 1,000-year sleep. The sky will always be a place of mystery. As long as there are clouds to hide in and horizons to chase, the mythical creatures of the air will continue to roam. They are the guardians of the atmosphere, the spirits of the wind, and the embodiments of our highest aspirations. They remind us that while our feet are planted on the earth, our spirits were always meant to fly. So, the next time you find yourself staring up at the vast blue expanse, don't just look for planes or birds. Look for the shimmer of a phoenix's tail, the distant rumble of a thunderbird's wing, or the coiling shadow of a dragon in the mist. The sky is crowded with the ghosts of 1,000 cultures, and they are all waiting for us to remember they are there. From the smallest sprite to the world-covering Ziz, the air is alive with the stories we have told ourselves for millennia. These creatures are the reason we look up with wonder and why we sometimes feel a shiver of dread when the wind picks up. They are the kings of the heights, the masters of the blue, and the eternal residents of the heavens. They are every mythical creature that roams the sky, and their flight will never truly end as long as there is someone below to watch them.
If you liked this video, please hit the like and subscribe button for more.